Why do I think timeshare companies are going to fail in the next 10 to 20 years? Is a very simple reason. I was just at a business conference, the Vault, Patrick Bet-David's business conference. One of the things he went over is, do you know how many companies that are on the, I think it's the Dow Jones, out of 500, the Dow Jones 500, how many of them are still in business from the 1950s? These are top 500 companies in the United States. And there's like 10 out of 500, or it was a crazy number, like 90 something % of them are out of business. These are Fortune 500 companies on the New York Stock Exchange, kicking butt. You got like Blockbuster Video, you got Circuit City, Kodak, all these type of companies that were in business, crushing it, leading their industry, and they all failed. You know why? Because it's the same thing that happens with family fortunes and everything. Why success and money never lasts more than 2 or 3 generations at the most. Because the people that start these companies, the guy, you know, Mr. Marriott, who started the company, awesome man, took care of everything. You know, he was a great man, super honest, loving. Now his family has taken over. His kids kind of carried the torch, but now they're like out of it. They don't own the timeshare part. It's getting decentralized a little bit. It's being more ran by executives. The Hilton family's pretty much long gone. All these companies that were once great started by, and the reason this came up is my wife had her friend over who works for Southwest Airlines, and we were talking about how Southwest is doing, and they all hate it now. All the employees hate it. When that Herb, I think his name was Herb, the guy who started Southwest, they loved that guy. They would like walk through walls for that guy. If anything needed to be done extra, they would do it. Because Herb cared about the employees. His whole theory was make sure the employees are taken care of, because if you take care of the employees, they'll take care of the passengers. And that's why Southwest Airlines is more profitable than all the other airlines. Now they have this new CEO, and then the CEO after Herb left, he was pretty good because he was trained under Herb's tutelage. But now they got this other guy in there, this new CEO. All he cares about is shareholder pricing, the stock price, all that. He doesn't really care about the employees that much, from what she was saying, and they all pretty much feel the same way. You can get a sense of the organization. So will Southwest go out of business in the next, year or two? Of course not. But it's gonna slowly go downhill, and it's going to be slowly taken over by other executives, a bunch of bean counters that take over, that don't know how to deal with people. Once the original owner gets out of a business, that's when they all start to go downhill, because it takes a certain type of person to start a company. I've been trying to start businesses since I was 8 years old. I've failed miserably multiple times. It's extremely difficult thing to do, and you have to learn all those lessons. And if you've never made payroll, if you've never had to fire people, if you've never had to deal with insurance and cities and corporations, and then we're a small business, and big companies like these big timeshare companies try to do stuff to stop us all the time. If you've never had to deal with those when you start a business, you don't really know what all that takes. You haven't had to sacrifice, you haven't had to give up your weekends, all your time when you're not at work to give up. So these corporate executives, once they take, they came out of college, or they started as sales guys, they always had a job. They were never responsible for making the payroll or the budget. They were just responsible for doing their sales and all that. Some of them, when you go into middle management and you start running a resort or whatever, you get a little taste of it, but it's not your neck on the line. You're not the one, if there's a budget shortfall, that you got to come out of your bank account with that money. It's just like, oh shit, I guess we didn't make budget this year. So the same thing's going to happen to the timeshare industry. I can tell already. My owners are so pissed, like so upset. And the timeshare companies are literally out of control now. you damn well know that every timeshare salesperson says to rent out your timeshare is one of your perks, and they're trying to strong arm all their clients to not rent it. I just had a lady email me letters from 2 different times. Now Hilton's like the worst. Like they are horrible. I'm so glad I don't own a Hilton timeshare, because they're the worst from what I can tell. They make all these like fees that are ridiculous, all these cancellation rules that are ridiculous, anything to avoid letting their clients recoup a little bit of their costs. And the reason why I think this is happening is because these people in corporate that are taking over, they only care about the stock price. They only care. Now they're paid on bonuses, they're paid on stock options, they're paid on performance, they're paid on VPG, they're paid, their job is to impress the board and impress the shareholders and bring the stock price up. And that's what happens. So that's all they care about, is getting those profits up, not caring about the people or their customers or their clients or any of that stuff. Look at what Anheuser-Busch did to their clients. Completely ignored them, did whatever just to try to push their woke agenda or whatever, which failed miserably. And the same thing is going to happen to timeshare companies, trying to force people. They sent her a letter demanding. Now this lady has invested hundreds of thousands of dollars with them. Obviously every salesman in the world has told her that she could rent it out when she's not using it to family, friends, whoever. They didn't put any restrictions on it on that time. Now, I'm sure in their paperwork somewhere it says you cannot do it for commercial purposes or whatever, just to cover their ass. And at that same business conference the year before, they had the guy from Enron on there, and he was the CFO of Enron, who was like the biggest fraudulent activity in the entire United States. They were like $100 billion company or $50 billion company, and he holds up his award. The year before, he was the CFO of the year. And in his other hand, he holds up his prison card, his prison ID card. He's like, the year before, I got an award for CFO of the year. The next year, I got put in prison for the exact same thing that got me CFO of the year. And basically what he learned is, even if you stay within the confines of the law, because he's like, I had attorneys, he's like, I had our legal team, the legal teams of all the people we were dealing with, check out all our contracts and all the deals we were doing, but we all knew it was wrong. We all knew what we were doing was not right. He's like, and I knew instinctively that it was not right, but I did it because it was within the confines of the law. So you corporate execs that are hiding behind these contracts that maybe it says something in the paperwork that you can't do this or that, you're basically condoning your salespeople lying to them to get into the program. You're fine taking the profits and all that from the financing and from what you make off the sales. You're fine taking that, but you won't let the people recoup even a little bit of their cost that are going up exponentially. So like a lot of the maintenance fees just went up 10 to 20%. How are your clients supposed to be able to afford that? People message us all the time. They're like, we can't afford these maintenance fees anymore. Think about this, if your maintenance costs, like I just got a Grand Residence owner who emailed me, they got a letter. They basically got strong arm that Marriott will drop their whole development. Some of these people own like 3 months at a time, 6 months. I have one owner that owns 6 months. She's 92 years old. What's she freaking supposed to do? Turn it in for a freaking cruise? Unfortunately, she just passed away, but now her kids are stuck with all this time, and they're not going to be able to use it. Her daughter owns 3 months at a time, depended on us to be able to get rid of it. Now they're strong arming them. If they don't pay 20% more in maintenance or something like that, then they're going to lose their affiliation with Marriott Vacation Club, and they won't be able to use it as points or any of the stuff that they promised originally if they don't pay this 20% increase in maintenance. So think about this. There's a rule of 72. So the rule of 72 is whatever doubles your interest If you're earning 7% interest, divide that into 72, and that's how long it takes your money to double. So it works the same way when you're paying stuff. So if your maintenance went up 20%, say 10, 15%, your maintenance is doubling every 4 to 8 years. And who's going to be able to afford that? Whose income goes up 20% a year? Your clients are going to be stuck with all this. And yeah, you're coming up with all these programs. You can use it for cruises and these worthless tours and gift cards and experience packages. Yeah, but those, any timeshare owner I've ever talked to knows that is a complete waste of your money. I mean, it doesn't do anything. You don't get any value out of that whatsoever. You're not even breaking even on your maintenance fees, let alone the tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars that these people have spent up front. Then you got, I mean, I know people at diamond resorts who are selling these older people, like 70, 60, 70, 80-year-old people, $100,000 packages based on their maintenance fees, based on they can rent it out. Wyndham people too. Those I had to quit the main Wyndham resort because those people were horrible. They were spent more time tricking people to get out of their deeds to go into this deed because the maintenance was cheaper. So you pay 60 grand to save 2,000 a year in maintenance. All they were doing was like tricking people to get them out of their timeshare. Now all these companies, all of them, I don't know one that's not. They're all. Now they're trying to strong arm all the owners, sending them letters. You can't rent out your timeshare, this and that. Strong arming companies like us, sending letters and stuff. So basically, so you're saying that all your salespeople are liars, or at least 80% of them. So that's basically what you're saying. So you're condoning your lying behavior. So you're, how am I saying that? So you're okay with them lying to get the deal, but then when people try to actually do what your representatives say, then that's against the rules. So, and here's the reason why they're doing it. Here's the reason. They have found a huge profit center. So basically what they're doing is double dipping. So they sell you the timeshare, right? And then they're like, oh, you can use it for cruises and airfare or whatever, okay? So you turn your points in for a cruise. Now, if you calculate it out, all of them are going to be a little bit different, you know, all the different companies, but you're essentially only getting back about 60% of your maintenance value. Like I just had this Marriott guy. He bought like 25,000 or 30,000 Marriott points he owned, maybe 25, something like that. He spent $300,000 up front. His maintenance fees were like $16,000 a year. This is all approximate. And then poor guy, he uses it for this like adventure Viking river cruise or whatever the fancy cruise was. It was like a 30-day, 20-day, whatever. So he used 30,000 Marriott points. So his maintenance on that, his maintenance cost was $16,000. Let alone the $300,000 he paid up front. And he's on the cruise with this guy, and they start talking. The guy has the same cabin, same room, same cruise, and the guy's like, "Oh yeah, I bought it for $11,000 on work from his travel agent or Expedia or wherever." And the guy's like, "Oh, okay, so I didn't even get my maintenance fees worth of value. Plus, I had paid $300,000 up front." Because here's what timeshare companies are doing: they're having you turn it in for cruises as an extra benefit. But then what they do is they take possession of those nights, and then they rent it out on their sister company, you know, which is usually the hotel sites like Hilton.com or Marriott.com or wherever. They take those nights and then they rent them out to the general public. So let me get this right. So they're allowed to rent it out to general public, taking up that inventory to recoup their money. But the timeshare owners can't rent it out to people. I care. Come on. But they're not allowed to rent it out to people. Okay, so I'd like the timeshare companies to explain how that process works. And I'd like you to explain through surveys, I'd like you to survey all your people to know if they know that that's what you guys do to recoup your money, because they're huge profit centers. They're hundreds of millions of dollars they're making a year. So they're selling you this timeshare under the pretense that it's a good value and it locks in deals for inflation, which it only does if you stay at their resorts during peak times. Only then is it a good deal. Most of the time, you can go to their websites and stay at these same timeshare resorts for about the cost of the maintenance for a lot of, probably 50-60% of the year. The only times it's more is during like peak holidays or whatever, but weekends, the amount of maintenance you pay on weekend, like Diamond's like the worst value. I mean, unbelievable. I tried to rent out the San Francisco one for somebody. Their maintenance fee on it was like $1,800 a night or something. It was like 22,000 points, Diamond points, to stay at this one in San Francisco. And if you calculated out their maintenance at 18 cents a point, it was like $1,500. You could go rent it on Kayak for like $500 or something. So I don't know what their plan is or how you're gonna stay in business doing this. I don't see it. Because you can go, like, I don't even stay in my timeshares anymore. I just stay in Airbnbs because I don't have to worry about it. The timeshare resorts, they all stop cleaning the rooms. They don't even clean the rooms midweek anymore if you're staying for a week. Come on, dog. They used to at least clean your room every other day or midweek. They don't even clean your room anymore, so what's the point? They don't really have any activities that have a little activity center, and then they usually have a pool. The pool is usually closed in the winter time. The timeshare resorts don't have any restaurants on them typically. Some do, like the big ones, maybe even Marriott Newport Beach had like this like little cafe bar thing, but it wasn't very good. So they don't really have any restaurants on it. So what's the benefit of staying when you can go get an Airbnb for your, like, think about 1 week at Hilton or Marriott, it's probably $40,000 up front. If you finance it, it's at 20% interest. And then your maintenance fees, say $2,200 a week. But shit, you could go get a great Airbnb for $2,000 a week, not have to worry about it. You can book anytime you want. You don't have to worry about, because then what these timeshare companies say is, oh, well, no, you can't rent it out because the rental companies are booking all the high demand times. Bullshit. When I got into timeshare 20 years ago, then in like the year 2000, 2001, I worked at Polo Towers and Monarch, and then I did timeshare resale for a little bit. So I figured out that was a scam too. So you, what was I gonna say about? Shoot, what was I talking about? Oh, about the rooms being booked. Yeah, that was the #1 complaint we got 22 years ago. Before Airbnb, before VRBO, before Kayak, is you can't get in anywhere. You can, because those timeshare salespeople, if you're worth your weight in anything, you tell them, okay, book this, buy this lower end product or every other year, and then trade in or go during the holidays. Just go a couple less nights. That way you buy the cheaper program. And then the people that buy the low-end product always want to stay during the high times. And then the people that buy the high-end times want to stay in the high-end times too. So there's no, it's just a front for them to get your points to rent out. I'm going to have to, I got a meeting. I got to continue this in a second. Okay, I'm not sure where I left off, but yeah, the people want to stay in the high-end times. So they'll buy an off-season week or time or points, or buy a smaller package of points and use it during the peak times. So it's not people renting out all their units. They're full, because that doesn't even make any sense. Like, as a person in the industry, how could you block out 30 rooms? Like, I don't get how that would even work. You'd have to get 30, 50 owners to block it out. Say you blocked it out for Christmas week, at a ski resort and you blocked up all, there's no guarantee you're going to get those rented out anyways. So you either have to pay your owners up front. So now you're outlaying $50, $100, $200,000 in cash to pre-book these rooms and pay the owners, or else you're having them book it and then waiting till the last minute, because most people don't even rent till like within 60 days of check-in. So there's no guarantee you're going to rent it in. And then with the timeshare rules, if you cancel within 60 days, now you lose like a third of the points. Then you had to pay a cleaning cost, then you have to pay a cancellation fee, then you got to pay a name change fee on some of them. They make all these rules to make it as hard as possible for their own clients to rent it out under the pretense that you're helping them out, which is complete bullshit, in my opinion. I don't know, maybe I'm wrong. I'm just some little, Mexican kid some little poor Mexican chubby kid trying to figure this all out. But it seems weird that, when I started at Marriott, I don't know, maybe it was like 2013. Between the 4 years I was there, they hadn't built like one resort, right? Because we were all waiting for the new resorts to get added, and they were on they weren't spending any money building resorts because they were recovering from 2008. Their stock went up like from $38 to like $60 or something in the 2 or 3 years I was there. And I'm reading, and then I heard an interview from the CEO of Marriott, which I've tried to find and I cannot find it online. I think they scrubbed it because they know people are going to figure this out. They made, it was like $300 or $400 million on the arbitrage from taking your points for this cruise. So you give Marriott or Hilton or Diamond, they all work the same, Wyndham. Say you give them 10,000 points for a cruise, right? Your maintenance cost on that is $6,000. Well, now with the increase, it'd be like $8,000, which sounds crazy. $7,500, and that would get you like an Alaska cruise for two, right? So you're basically paying $7,800 for this Alaska cruise. But the whole purpose of timeshare is it's supposed to be a good deal, right? You're supposed to be saving money. So you think you'd get a $10,000, $15,000 cruise because it's a good value, right? No, they go to Alaska and they buy you a cruise for $5,500, and they give you that same cruise that you could have just went to Cruises to Go or whatever those websites are that give super cheap cruises. Got on the same cruise, the same cabin, no restrictions, went any day you want for the same price, $5,500. But you paid $10,000 of your points, which had $7,500 in maintenance costs. So you're losing $2,500 just in maintenance costs, let alone what you paid up front for 10,000 points, which like right now would probably be over $100,000 up front, plus 20% in financing charges if you didn't pay cash. Then Marriott takes your points in, because like Marriott's just a marketing company. They're like a management company, sorry. Management and marketing, obviously, sales. They're just a management company. They don't really own all these rooms at these resorts, but you can guarantee you can go to Hilton.com, Wyndham Extra Holidays, Wyndham Hotels, Marriott Hotels, and you can find your timeshare resort on their website any time of the year, 95% of the time, any day you want, immediate check-in for $500 to $1,000 a night, or whatever, $300 or whatever the price is, for a nightly rate. And if you calculate it out, the number of points it costs to stay there during that time, they're renting it out for more than the maintenance. So they're taking your points, they're renting it out to strangers or guests, and then they tell you you can't rent out your rooms to strangers or guests to conserve the inventory for the owners. And this is why countries fail. This is why government doesn't work. This is why every corporation goes out of business, because you get these corporate executives in there, and their job is to drive the stock price up. Their marketing people are complaining, oh, we can't sell, we can't book tours because all the people staying here are renters and not owners. 80%, I don't know the exact statistic, but I'm pretty sure it's like 70% of timeshare business comes from owners upgrading. The only reason owners upgrade is so they have more time, and they're sold that they can rent some out to cover the cost of the maintenance fees, which works fine. And we help people who pair with guests in a concierge service to help them do that like they were told by their salespeople. I know, because I sold timeshares for many, many years. And any good timeshare salesman, that's exactly what you tell them they can do, because that's in the documents. It's in the training class. Marriott has their own rental program where they rent it out for you. Wyndham has their ridiculous Wyndham Extra Holidays where they'll rent out your points if it's a specific reservation, and then they take like a 40% commission. So they'll only let you rent it out if you do it through them. They steal half of your maintenance fee cost money, then they take it and they rent it out to the general public. So how is that not taking the inventory for these holidays that these mega renters and stuff are taking? You're doing the exact same thing, but it's only okay if you're doing it, which is increasing your guys' bottom line by tens of millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what's driving your stock up, and that's what's going to cause the timeshare industry to implode at some point. It's not going to be today, not going to be tomorrow. These things always take a while to happen, but watch, Southwest Airlines at some point is going to go down. They're going to start losing people. They're losing the will of the employees, all the people that knew what it was like when, whoever that guy that started Southwest Guy or whatever, they're going to start leaving. Then you're going to get all these new people. They're not going to take care of your customers. Once the word gets out that these timeshare companies are sending out letters to people who have faithfully bought their programs, listening to the sales representatives that represent those companies, saying that they can do whatever they want with the points. And how does it affect the reservations if it's the same points the owners already own? What's the difference if the owner stays in it on New Year's than if a guest stays in it that they rented to on New Year's? What's the difference between if they let their friend use it between somebody who paid to stay there to use it? There's no difference. They're just full of shit. All these timeshare executives are full of crap. They're just worried about the bottom line. They don't care about the clients anymore. These other add-on programs to make it better and easier to use, there's no value in that. There's no value in turning your points in for an airline ticket. There's no value in using it for a cruise. There's no value in using it for a tour package. There's no value in nothing. And it's getting to be, it's not even worth the staying at the resorts, because you have Airbnb competition, VRBO, where you can get a freaking nice 3,000 square foot house with your own private pool, for the same cost as your maintenance fee. And you don't clean the rooms anymore. The beds are horrible. I used to love to stay at the Marriott resorts, but even now I can tell they've switched their mattresses out. They're buying like cheap ass mattresses. What freaking hotel companies are so cheap, and you can tell it's being taken over by accountants and bean counters and people just worried about the bottom line. Because I bought a bed for my kids, like a $500 Sealy mattress that's 10 times more comfortable than any freaking Marriott or even the Four Seasons bed. Those ones are pretty nice. The Ritz-Carlton and the Four Seasons, they were pretty nice. But I stayed at the JW in downtown Miami, that old Turnberry one. That bed wasn't really comfortable. The Marriott, I just stayed at the Timber Lodge Marriott. That bed was horribly uncomfortable. Where else have I stayed? At the Courtyard Inns. Well, those aren't timeshares, but whatever. the thing of it is the quality's going down. They're charging way more money. Now, obviously costs and stuff go up, but you're not giving your clients an out to be able to do what you promised them that they could do, rent out their units. It doesn't, and if you don't agree with me, I want you to prove to me with surveys that you're getting so many complaints that people can't get reservations. And then also, the few people that do complain about that, have you ever asked them any questions like, well, how far in advance are you trying to book? Like, what? Because people are stupid. They'll be like, oh, I'm trying to get into New Year's and today's December 10th. I can't get in. You can never get a reservation. Well, that's just stupid people. But what the real thing is because you're not going to be able to please everybody. You can't just go when you want, where you want, because half the timeshare owners have kids. Competing for only 20% of the inventory is when the kids are out of school. So the only problems getting rooms during that time is you have all these people trying to get in a small amount of time. And that's the only reason there's no rooms, not because there's mega renters doing all this. And these timeshare companies are going to screw themselves by not letting, like, Wyndham's already made it like pretty hard to rent. Hilton's like impossible to rent. They made so many stupid rules, and now they bought Diamond, and those poor Diamond people, I mean, their maintenance is completely ridiculous. So they're gonna be shit out of luck, because Diamond people, I can't even pay them enough of their maintenance fees to cover their maintenance fees, because if you try to rent it out online, like the Polo Towers, go do a sample for yourself. Go try to rent Las Vegas, Polo Towers. I haven't done this in the last year or so, so I'm not sure exactly, but I'll guarantee you could stay at the Polo Towers on kayak for like $300 a night. If you book the villas at Polo Towers, the back tower, it's like 16,000 points for a week, which 20 cents a point in maintenance. What is that, like $3,000 in maintenance cost to stay at that place you could have booked off kayak for $300 a night? So I don't see what their end game is here, besides a bunch of greedy corporate execs that are going to do the same thing that the Blockbuster Video guys did when Netflix came in to bottom. I think travel clubs are going to start overtaking the timeshare industry, as a lot of the younger people don't really want to even own houses, let alone a freaking timeshare. Every timeshare owner that leaves it to their kids usually wants to give it up or not have it or get rid of it. These timeshare exit companies are getting pretty prolific now. They're everywhere, as people don't want to pay these exorbitant loans, especially when there's nothing they can do with it except for stay at these resorts. And then you got hyperinflation coming. Everything's up 20%, food, gas, water, every year. So how is somebody that makes 120 grand a year gonna afford a $5,000 maintenance cost? Because if you make 130,000 a year, say you're a couple, say you're an engineer and a nurse, and you make 180,000 a year. Well, after taxes, that's 140, probably 140,000. That's before your house payment, your food costs, whatever. And now you bought a couple weeks with Hilton or Marriott or whatever, and your maintenance is $5,000 a year. So almost 5% of your yearly budget is to go to staying in a condo, when you could freaking go to an Airbnb and stay in a condo in Miami with all the same perks, not cleaning. It's a real shit show. But as much as I love timeshare, it's not looking good. And I think it's all due to corporate greed and executives only worrying about the bottom line and the stock price, not caring about their customers, just doing like the Southwest guy did, only worrying about corporate profits, shareholders, screw the owners. Eventually you run out of people to sell stuff to, especially when 70-80% of your business comes from owners. So, all right, there's my rant. I could be wrong. Maybe they'll keep it going for a lot longer. I mean, but I don't see it. If you have any comments, leave them in the comments below. But I think travel clubs will probably be more the future, as well as different types of clubs, and or just going to like smaller people that own Airbnbs will create clubs when they have multiple residences where you just pay like a membership fee and you don't have to worry about the upfront cost and the ongoing maintenance, with no other way to get rid of it besides stay at these different types of resorts. All right, that's all I had. Peace out.